The Star. Kenyatta elbows Ruto, takes over crucial ministries. The headline from the Daily Nation is this: where was Ruto as Uhuru sacked his ally? And the final headline we're looking at this morning. All right, so I think let's now deal with these crucial headlines that tell a story. Unless someone wants to weigh in on the Western rally, which I think we have concluded, we should just go straight to this, because these headlines, if you wake up this morning and what crosses your mind? Let me begin with Ben.
You know, when you look at what is currently splashed on all the newspapers, or Ruto has been sidelined from the government, or Ruto was not there when his people were removed from government. And then the deputy is just a principal assistant who works at the behest of the president, or who is assigned duties by the president. There is nowhere in the constitution or any other statute that I need to assign people in the cabinet. So in my view, this is too much ado about nothing. And believe you me, this spirit of uniting this country and keeping this country focused on what is important. When you stock up emotions with these kinds of sensational headlines, in the ultimate, there are people who are very passionate about that. It create unnecessary divisions even amongst the people. Because today, after these kinds of headlines, kuna mali watu wataka in a local, and they're like, unaona mtu wako tumemtoa kwa serikali. You know, those kinds of talks. Those kinds of talks.
Are the people who showed us that they work together. They are the people who are wearing same shirts and ties.
But even then,
some people are wearing suits and riding
believe
in
you
one
me,
car.
even though it was in the presence of the deputy,
I think the only person who's creating things here is you, because you are the one burying your head in the sand. Because you're the one who has failed to see.
No, I've not failed to see anything. You are the one who's failed to see. Believe you me, the appointments and the dismissals in the cabinet, and it is because he knows that is none of his business. Okay. It is the business of the president. Okay. But you media guys have been
this is the media's problem. Yes. This is the media. And please be honest with me.
Yes. I have to be honest with you, because all those captions are going into cells of the papers. You know?
It's just sales.
It's purely sales, because when you get the anything about what has happened.
Absolutely.
And the responsibility of the president to put cabinet that will deliver, or a cabinet that shall deliver. And when you look at the kind of reshuffle he has done, if we were to boil it down and speak about Kiunjuri, I think it was long overdue on his personal statement.
Yes.
And you could read that it was an expectation from his end. So it didn't come as a surprise. So why is the media so surprised about the kind of reshuffle that has taken place? You've already seen CS Munya has already issued a statement to speak to what he wants to do. And he's a performer. When you look at the docket he was before, you'll realize most of the ministries under him were given some breath of life. Kenya Industrial Estates now is alive and awake, you know. Vision and mission and mandate. And agriculture is a very, very serious docket. Yes. And where we speak, let us evaluate without putting phases to it. Let us evaluate that ministry without even putting the names to it. We can all agree it was failing. Yes. It is failing. Yes. It needs to be ejected. We need to give the country. If we revamp agriculture in this country and create policies locally, internationally, that will speak to us developing the agricultural sector within this country, then we will go far.
Okay. I think Ben, I'll come to you. I think Harriet is burying her head in the sand. Let me try supporting member of Parliament.
The incompetence that Mwangi Kiunjuri presided over in the Ministry of Agriculture. A thorough analysis to the extent that even those toying with the silly idea that he can become anybody's deputy president are dissuaded from it. Okay. Because what we need is to be able to establish that it is incompetence that was removed from cabinet.
Okay.
It is not an issue about 2022, because this country at some point really needs people who can demonstrate that they are willing to serve the people of this country.
I would have asked you a question if I was not going to speak to Mheshimiwa here, but let me hear from Mheshimiwa. Let me try you. Yes. What do you think?
What are you trying?
Let me try, because he's created his own issues out of it. She's burying her head in the sand. Yeah. Now let me try supporting member of Parliament.
Yeah, I think my colleagues here, you need to be honest for once. I don't know whether you've just arrived in this country from somewhere, or you are aliens into what is happening. I rarely side with the media, but today, I think a media is a reflection of the society. They can't report something that does not reflect, is a mirror of society. So whatever you see constantly on the headlines is actually what is happening. You can bury your head or your whole body in the sand as much as you wish, but the reality is that the deputy president is no longer in the government. You can choose to believe, you can choose not to believe. That is the reality. He is not in the government. The only thing that is aiding him to actually survive and you know, catch what it used to be in the days of Moi regime. So he enjoys that right, constitutional right, and provisions, and they make it so difficult for him to, you know, leave office. And that's what is holding him. But
basically, he's not an appointee, so you
yes,
cannot
he's not an
sack him.
appointee.
Yes.
And even if you have to do an impeachment, it's not possible. Impeachment, it has never worked. So in reality, that is what is holding him. You can see what happened. The bromance is over. What happened during the first term, they were very much together. The deputy president was representing the president in all the forums. You can see nowadays the members of parliament, the other team of Jubilee, who actually come represent the president in front of the deputy. And the president does not say anything.
Okay.
So it is really, this is
The
the
party
president, no, the party leader has nothing to do with their problem. Actually, is actually maybe the person who is holding them. Because this is it is a problem that they stem back from the previous. You've seen people coming up, the Murathas of this world, saying that we've been under trouble. It's only that we are holding together to succeed beyond 2017.
Okay.
But it has been a government under trouble, under siege. Yeah.
Within itself.
Within itself. Yeah.
I would want to agree with Caleb Amisi. And for me, my agreement comes from the fact that the moment Deputy President began the Tanga movement, he automatically 3 years before campaigns commenced.
Don't forget, he was given the mandate to Tanga by the president.
There was a lot to read from when the president said wale wa kutanga, there was so much to read from that particular statement.
Actually, he
students
said,
of literature,
Ruto atakuwa
exactly.
anatanga aki-inspect.
You know,
Yes.
students of literature would tell you
Yes.
that within that statement you could read, there could be some level of sarcasm.
Okay.
Because the moment he was told, wule atatanga,
Yeah.
the number of projects that William Ruto has, I was about to say doctor, but the statement that, oh, yule atatangatanga, atawatuambia mahali ambapo shida ipo, and have issues and report back to the president. Why then is it that he would go to especially parts of central Kenya, launch projects that will never take off, go across the country, launch polytechnics that will never take off, put up foundation stones that will never take off? And I think that there would be a re-engineering or rewiring of politics to work for the growth and development of Kenyans. But as it stands right now, we have seen William Ruto in his rallies speaking, not necessarily using his own mouth, but using his pipers to literally poke holes in the same government that he is a part of. So if you ask me, if William Ruto is out of government, it is his mercenaries on the ground to speak and castigate the government instead of providing a way forward for how they can work together as two principals who are elected on one ticket. There is a meeting that took place, I don't know whether it was a funeral or what, in central Kenya, and a video emerged out of it of, I think it was a member of, and instead of providing a way forward, will not even say anything about what have spoken about or said. Remember, most of the directions are listen to what the people around him have to say. And recently I'm seeing them saying that, you know, we are with the president, and if he makes a turn, we are making a turn. So I don't know what to make out of it, but the truth of the matter is that he seems to be out of the was launched.
And I think, now that I've gotten enough support, I think going forward, even as we think about constitutional amendment, we need to put really a caveat on this deputy president position. Because if you may ask even any ordinary Kenyan, who is the vice president or deputy president of Uganda, they do not know. Tanzania, they do not know.
An average Kenyan will not know.
Average
but most of us
Kenyan,
will, yeah.
maybe, do you even know the deputy president of South Africa? Very few even know the deputy to Donald Trump. But in Kenya, it's like the deputies are even above the president. I mean, you are supposed to be somebody to help and not to start jottling for power and positions. It's supposed to be a helping position, that when I'm not available, you can assist, I can assign you duties. But I think you can get a rogue deputy president in future who can easily, topple the government to the ballot together. And they know he has a mandate. He said, we took this power together. It was a joke around, because you never know where we are going. You never know the kind of deputy you can have. You've seen it becoming a menace in all the counties. The deputy against the governor, governor against. So this deputy thing of putting them together in the ballot, it must be looked at very, troublesome. Now, you also mentioned about the Kiunjuri thing, which I found it very funny in his statement when he said that every action, there is out of 45 million Kenyans to serve the republic. President to work for him. Is he anticipating arrest, or is he anticipating something will, come out, and he knows something that Kenyans will not know? You come, and many have issued threats before.
Okay.
So it's really very funny.
Is he proposing that in the next election we should vote separately for
deputy president, or we vote for the president and then we have him appoint the deputy, same as the prime minister? But so we agree, Harriet, because the fact is the deputy president, through his position of spending government money, right, to facilitate their meeting in Kisii. That's a deputy president within the government complaining about the use of public resources by...
Don't get us wrong, what we are trying to say is that when we create certain narratives, and headlines which speak to the political class in a negative way, what are we doing? What are we doing? It means every Kenyan, and if you ask people, every day they say we are tired of even watching news, because that, again, the same who have taken a lot of their time, energy, whether we are able to live with each other, or whether politics has completely taken over, and driving everything that we are doing every day. And it's quite unfortunate, because when living, for instance, if my work is to wake up every day and insult other Kenyans, it will trickle down to the youthful Kenyans who are coming up. If my everyday mantra is to wake up and issue threats, it then means you're boiling anger within a certain particular group of the society, that within a very short time, whenever you want to disagree with somebody, someone throws a punch, because it has become our daily narrative that, hey, you don't agree with me, I'm going to box you, So we need to be able to, is there a way we can be civil with each other, And, those are the kind of ethos we want to entrench into the generation that we want to bring up.
And that's part of what is contained in the BBI.
Exactly. So we then need to live, and that's what I say. If we mean the handshake, then let's live within the spirit of the handshake and accommodate each other and each other's views.
Okay. And Ben, if I go back to your argument, would you rather the president stands and states the reason why he is relieving someone?
No, he owes nobody any explanation.
But the time you're making an appointment, you owe as an explanation why you're appointing a certain individual.
Yes.
Because of marriage. You stated.
You
so
see,
why can't you tell us this is the reason why I'm letting them go?
Well, as I said, he's under no obligation, but I think it would also be a good thing. But if I were the appointing authority, one of the key things I would not want to do is to appear to tarnish an individual, or tarnish or assassinate their character. In the sense that if the president was to speak out today and say that I fired Kiunjuri because he was incompetent, I mean, that would be very destructive to the person of Kiunjuri. But to Kenyans, it is left to us to conclude, because Kenyans have really been complaining. Kiunjuri has been in the business of even facilitating the importation of essential commodities like sugar, maize, and all that.
When is that really factual?
When there was a glut. You remember
really
recently, actually, you remember when the president in Mombasa, that was in December of 2018, when the president ordered for the payment of farmers. And within a week, there was some 10 billion shillings to pay farmers. Yet a week before then, Kiunjuri had said that there is actually a shortage of maize. You remember that time? That was beginning of last year, 2019, in the possession of farmers. Yes. So those are some of the things that really took the farmers through.
But
and also the media.
As NTV, we have to disassociate ourselves from your comment that he has been in the business of importation of all those things, because it's not factual, it's not been tabled.
No,
so
actually,
we don't want to be sued.
All
we
that
cannot link him as NTV. That's your comment.
Those are my personal comments.
Personal
but now, going forward, you realize that in these kinds of reorganization of government, it is the same thing actually. It's only that from the outset, the president and the deputy presented to us ourselves or presented themselves to Kenyans as co-president when already they have been operating as if they are co-running the government, which essentially has no basis in the constitution. So what we are witnessing now is perhaps those who are closer to the president feel that now this deputy has gone too far in terms of building a political base that they cannot essentially control, or that has been able to split what initially was the Jubilee party, and there really isn't much that they can do. But in terms of reorganization of the government, the president really, even the only thing is, is he has no capacity to be a problem to Kenyans.
What Medvedev is trying with Russia, that's what's happening in
Maybe
Russia.
actually he should consider that.
They resigned.
Yes.
They resigned.
They all resigned.
Actually,
yeah.
the PM, I think the PM is just preparing for something. You know, those guys like the ping pong.
Yes.
Chukua
Yeah.
miaka yako,
Yeah.
2024, sasa mimi
So try that as a country. So you see how,
Try what?
how it goes.
try
But
dissolving
the
the whole,
Russia's model.
the whole cabinet. So the question there for is this: how long, in your opinion, ladies and gentlemen, do we have the Jubilee party still holding? How long do we have?
I think it's dead.
Still holding because they still say Jubilee is alive. How long do we have? Because
How do-
my
how
next
do we
question would be,
test?
so
Yeah.
what happens, and I'd like to understand from Harriet, now what happens if Ruto, for example, will exit the government, the Jubilee, what will happen? But how long, in your opinion, do we have this party holding?
They're supposed to have elections in March. I think so. They're supposed to have party elections in March. And I think then is when we can determine how long. But if, in my view, the word political party, the essence that there needs to be unity in a political party, there is no unity in the Jubilee political party. But it appears as if no one wants to, officially step out and start their own formation. See them living beyond 6 months.
Okay.
And they're down. Their final disintegration could take place when the time for their elections come, which I am told is
Could be.
in March. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Harriet, in that case, what happens if
Together as a number of political parties, and if then it splits, that plunges the party into a very confused environment, because these leaders were elected under the umbrella of Jubilee. And it's important to note that you can't really wish out the deputy president from that party, because in fact, I think he's the one who came out strongly and said this is the year of the Jubilee. And it was strongly so. And I think he feels that he owns the party.
Okay.
Like he's the biggest stakeholder, because the announcement and pronouncement of Jubilee actually came from the deputy president. So you realize that the party could be having many problems, and you would have realized it broke loose the moment David Murathe left, because he's a very strong ally.
It's still a vice.
Yeah. He's a very strong ally of His Excellency, and you find just like just like she said, that this political in the political class or the leaders speak through others. Nowadays, I've come to believe that when Murathe speaks, he doesn't speak for himself. He speaks for many others who have the same ideology,
including?
Including His Excellency.
Okay.
Because they are very close. So you realize that these are not just ideologies that are formed or formulated within a small space. These are
There you speak, I speak the mind of the
well, I
president.
would love to hear that.
But he
because
cannot. He cannot come out and say, Murathe, you don't speak for himself.
or we did not agree on that.
Yes, we did not say that.
But that could be the spirit of the thinking on the mind behind what he is saying. Or they could be testing the waters as well.
Same thing as this thing, power from above. I don't think the president would stoop too low to tell a policeman not to release Moses Kuria. I don't think the president would stoop too low. But when they say the power from above,
Yes.
anyway.
Yeah.
A
Yes,
CS.
And it could be anything.
It could be anything.
And what if
it
what
could be CS. It could be
the PS Kibicho?
It could be
anyone?
anyone.
Yes.
It,
But
it,
what
it
if
doesn't
the
have
power
to be the
from above now
president.
comes from the allies of deputy president, including the deputy president?
If it comes from the deputy
who's
president,
the
then
power
it
from
goes
above?
higher.
Who can stop Kihika Susan from attending a rally? All those things. So sometimes these things are just said, but we don't know the truth.
Ken, I don't know, when I was growing up in the village, we used to keep dogs. And sometimes we would go hunting squirrels, just the small little things. And one thing that you can be sure of is that sometimes it could be just a regular hunting spree, and once those dogs are out there, you literally have no control over what they are able to do. They could easily hunt down a squirrel, it could even be a gazelle, or they could even attack somebody's sheep or goat or something like that. So that tells you about how this power from above operates. There are people who will go out there and take advantage of certain situations without necessarily any express instructions. And you remember when the president was suspending procurement and finance officers from all ministries and departments, there's something that he said. Going forward, you need to challenge is, let's have these instructions from above in writing, so that somebody specifically wrote a note saying, small individuals. In fact, it could just be the OCS. Pengine kuna mali mlikosana kitambo, and you have no idea. So when he tells you there are power from above and have been instructed not to release you, you have no way to verify that.
And there's no person named above.
But now, quickly, on the issue you were asking about the Jubilee Party more, there could be the paperwork and the infrastructure here in Pangani, but in texture and in content and in really would not be something that would exist under normal party structure. Secondly, as a country of flip-flopping, especially by key candidates, including presidential candidates, from one party arrangement to the other. If anything, the only party that exists in this country with us quickly cobbled up for purposes of an election, and then that is lost. So there is no telling, because now the president will not be running. Essentially, as it stands today, it is difficult to tell whether Jubilee will still exist by 2022. And given now the kind of conversations that are surrounding the deputy president, there is no telling whether he will even decide to leave Jubilee at the opportune time to either come up with his own political party or take up an existing political formation. Hold up basically 3 months to the elections, and President Mwai Kibaki ran on it. So in this country, it is difficult to...
Right now, we have Kieleweke and Tangatanga. Already those are two different factions with very strong opinions on where they are sitting right now. That already tells you there's no Jubilee Party, because if they do right now, it will plunge them into a very interesting political dimensions, because they are seated in parliament and in those spaces because of this party. So then that creates a very difficult situation or angle for them to disengage right now. So if at all they will disengage officially, I see them disengaging towards 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, and that then will mean you'll see other political formations that they will want to carry or drive the next agenda in terms of leadership. So then the question is, who party? Or will they form another party or another vehicle to carry the many other formations that will take the next leadership? So I think those are the various dimensions we are going to be faced with between now and not, we are now in 2020. 2021, 2022 is just a few months away.
Election season.
So we are going to see a situation whereby we are going to have high-spirited and high opinions on matters politics, matters devolution, so we need to be able
to the Labour march to ask who will own Jubilee. First of all, our party is not holding Jubilee. So the rest, if they think a very precarious situation, what Kibaki disagreed with the Moise government, he left. And he came out very strongly. Just resign and tell the Kenyans, come on, I can't be part of this anymore.
He resign? Did he? No, he went to the end with
yes.
a position of
yes, but many this government, and these are a person who is serving at the highest echelon of... What will you tell Kenyans in 2022? This government was bad.
He said that they've invested, they have serious investment.
Why were you part of it? Or you want to form another, so why? And you others believe you. But these people are seen as these people the people do not know. They do not
have thought that Jubilee Party has disintegrated. Inevitably, they are not going to fulfill their promises, but to deliver our promises. So what happens to these political promises that were made by Jubilee Party if by...
Political party is formed by its members, who many a times are elected members. I mean, the people who hold the biggest stake are those who are elected on that particular political party. So that we are talking about members of parliament, we are talking about we are talking about mostly members of parliament, you know, governors, women representatives, and anybody elected on that political party's ticket. So when a political party, we are expecting that this is supposed to be a concerted effort of all the members of that particular political party, the 5-point agenda in its entirety on his own, the president and the deputy president. So if Jubilee Party fails to deliver on its agenda that it promised the Kenyans, governor fails to deliver, and yet he is a governor representing, you know, the Jubilee Party, political party. His people should be able to question him and ask him that, now you as a governor, what did you do in the agenda that political parties lay a mandate? Will now have an excuse to say that, you know what, because the Jubilee political party disintegrated, party will promise the people, and that is what you as an individual will promise the people. So in every government you will always have dissenting opinions. Even within ODM itself, there are people who are not in agreement with what, you know, say. You can bring up evidence and say that, look, I was hindered in delivering my work because, you know, waiting to see a political party fail and then saying because the political party failed,
too loud.
now you know, we were unable to deliver our promise to Kenyans. Remember, even when President Kibaki and at some point things were not working well, carpets. You know, half carpets and all those stories, but still Kibaki went on and includes the president himself. He should not come at the end of his 5-year term and say, oh, because the Jubilee Party disintegrated and we were not.
He names a successor, so people will consider his successor based on his success. But Harriet, what do you think? What happens to the promises that have been made in case Jubilee doesn't go to the end of this term, the 5-year term, the second term?
Yes, those same promises are actually entrenched in the Constitution. And for a very long time, it's a repeated story, universal health. Put in one document that regardless of who takes up the leadership mantle, it should be a Kenyan thing. So can we have that plan? I wish to hear more of documents are lying in some. So the question then is, all these lieutenants, including the cabinet, how then do we trickle it down up to the landman standing in terms of delivery of that vision? So I don't see, or we should not anticipate to have ministries which ideally should deliver. The people who are charged with responsibility to all need to take responsibility. We need to stop hoodwinking Kenyans. Let us within each and every Kenyan, because I can assure us that then we don't need politicians to tell us what we need. First, we need to know what we want and actually tell the politicians what we want. And the question then,
what happens? I know you're not part of Jubilee Party, but what happens as a politician?
Yeah.
Your first time member of parliament.
No, I'm
When you said that, it reminded me of Kyunjuri. Kyunjuri said, I have been politics longer than I've been alive.
So that means before conception.
Before he was born, he was actually in politics.
When Jubilee started off as a government, were they that honesty in the promises of party or on the promises that governments, new regimes come with? Because I think from all the promises they gave, they have all failed.
We didn't do this is because there was a lot of noise within our party.
There is never justification to failure as long as you formed a government. I also even tend to think the last no, it has not yet done it. The part you've done is enough to really eliminate corruption out of the system. I think the very people who are perpetrating corruption, they're within the system. And you see what happened when the Malaysian Prime Minister took over. When you want to know that there is serious fight, you have the powers to do that. If they have the powers to lock a Kenyan like Miguna out of the country, then they also have powers to actually lock these people from even traveling out of the country. And that's now where seriousness and the normal musical chairs continue. So I think there is still much the president needs to do as much as corruption is. Government fails does not fail on ODM. It fails the whole country, including the supporters, the Jubilee members. So they also do agree that there is a lot that this government has not been achieved as they promised. And okay. They have only 2 years remaining.
All right. So unless, Ben, we have a few minutes on the clock, and you have something to say on that, because quickly. I want to conclude this.
Very quickly. I have a proposal to my brother Caleb here. When you resume from recess, they are not achieved or realized. That way, it's the only way we can inject the concept of accountability, because we have reached us here the nice and beautiful things. We are going to do this and that and that, and then people get excited. But in reality, these promises most of the times are not pegged either on a good roads for them or highways and those kinds of things. That's not the work of the MP. And so ultimately, unless we make we make it criminal to lie to the electorate, do you see whether there has been divisions within Jubilee 22, whether what he promised 10 years ago is actually what he's been able to deliver, whether there was noise, because you see, government works in as very interesting structures in how it works. The fact that, for example, Tangatanga Okieleweke may be making noise will not stop CS Macharia from doing his work as transport in the transport sector, will not stop Matiang'i from doing his work. So this idea of noise will stop people from delivering is an excuse. And essentially, Kenyans now need to see tangible stuff. And the president only has 2 years. My hope was that this reorganization of the cabinet would have really shaken so much in terms of really he has a better idea of how he wants to run his government.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have like 3 minutes on the clock. And as we conclude this outside in the government, the reasons that were given by the Standard: 1, public appearance with the president. The second reason is that the president keeps quiet as some ministers and members of parliament attack his deputy, and he doesn't speak about it. He says the BBI campaign has framed him as an obstacle to the new Kenya. He was branded, although right now everyone supports it. And some Jubilee Party officials are publicly derided his in Mombasa, not expected of a deputy, and his staunchest supporter have been purged from cabinet, and others have been silenced. So they were including here William Samoei Ruto. So our democracy is so liberal that the Secretary General of the ruling party has become the chief strategist of the opposition party. You also that when the Deputy President tweeted that. Yes. But they get it wrong and caption it as Deputy President William Ruto commenting on Raphael Tuju campaigning for ODM Kibra by-election in November. Yet the tweet is marked clearly 14 July 2019. So they got it wrong. But all those reasons not...
Actually, first, I think the media needs to stop this idea of sensationalizing some of these small things, because the president personally have not come across him complaining that there were cabinet changes and he was not consulted.
Oh, on the cabinet.
Yes.
On the cabinet, yes.
The last now 1 year, BBI has taken over then healthcare and the critical areas. This country will be united automatically, and this country will progress automatically.
All right.
Yes.
Harry.
For me, I think there's a lot of energy, political class, a situation whereby all the levels of government deliver. Because when we create fear and not be able to deliver right on. So can we then settle the country by ensuring that we are more keen to see these things, the promises that were given by the ruling class delivered. And I think that is the most important thing. The politic and all that, let's park it aside. Let us give Kenyans what they deserve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caleb, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I will say ultimately is the president. He'll have no excuse. People will be demanding for his legacy. We've had Mwai Kibaki. People do not even remember that Mwai Kibaki served with Raila Odinga. They don't even remember Raila Odinga was a prime minister. Kenyatta when he was a president. So the one as the president, we've invested and the delegated.
Report for me still is a report that, if adopted and actually implemented, the majority of the issues affecting the Kenyans. And for me, I always maintain the position that most of what is contained in the report requires basic political goodwill from the president, basic political. I would like to commend the president in his latest appointments for, beginning to make the journey to what will these new appointees who represent us will be able to.
Last year, this is a new treasury report. However, we're short on time, but we'll get another opportunity to talk about it. Thank you very much, Ben Mulwa, for coming.
Thank you.
Chigai, who, by the way, is running for president of LSK. Tomorrow, to make noise on the podium and support BBI. Thanks, Caleb and Ruth Mbogo, who's a political comment, for watching. And NTV Sasa is on air shortly with Harith Salim and I don't know the other person who's coming, but Harith will be here. Have a good morning and Kaltun Jama. Harith and Kaltun Jama. So see you at 1 o'clock with a quick news update for you.